I'm looking forward to getting because I stopped playing Street Fighter 4 like quite a long time ago now. So it'd be nice to start playing it again, playing Street Fighter. See how long it lasts. But then of course you play anyway, so we'll actually be able to play together.
I'm quite excited about it.
I think you need other people who are playing it at the same time around you, physically around you. I think in order to extend the lifespan.
Yeah, it's tough if you don't. You gotta learn to love the online experience if you don't, and that can be hard to love. Like a very ugly child.
Yeah. I like playing side by side with people. Funnily enough, there's been a bit of discussion over Christmas. Do you see the discussion about whether
side
or not
by side or
are you a side by side? Are you
side by side?
Yeah, I'm very much so.
I feel like for me that's part of the game.
Yeah.
I think that might be like an old school attitude at this point, but I feel like being able to kind of play mind games with your opponent and affect your opponent's performance outside of the game while you're playing the game is part of the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes my girlfriend hits me when she loses.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So
well, there we go.
It's learning to deal with that.
So I prefer net play.
Learning to deal with that is part of like a tournament skill set. And currently we have like a whole generation of people came in during Street Fighter 4 who kind of grew up playing games from home for the most part, and then they're not at tournaments as much and so on. And for them it's more like, I don't want to interact with you, I don't want to like deal with you during the game. I only want to deal with the game.
I don't like nearly as much
because I think there's I don't compete at all anymore really. I can't remember the last like proper tournament I entered, probably like 4 years ago. But I think there's that feeling that you get when you sit down next to a stranger. And even if it's just like the opening rounds, there's like a nervousness when you kind of sit down with somebody and you're like, okay, like here we go. And I kind of, on the one hand, sort of didn't really enjoy that sensation at the time. But I think in retrospect, it's kind of all part of that excitement. It's all part of that excitement of
I just don't really care so much online.
That nervous energy. And when you kind of finish, whether you've won or lost, there's a sort of a weird feeling of elation, like kind of relief that like you're no longer in that kind of weird nervous situation.
Yeah.
And that's kind of part of having those physical meetups where you go to a bar or a hotel or whatever it is that you're going to go and play. That kind of emotional journey, is that too weird a thing to say, that you kind of go through when you're competing is a really important part of that experience, I think.
Yeah, I don't know, for me, like, I started out in the arcades in 1994.
Yeah.
That was like my first arcade experience, and up until about 2002, most of my fighting game playing was done in arcades. And it's, for me not to have that side by side, because at that point you would have like one tiny little screen, and you would actually be bumping into the other guy as you're playing and stuff.
Physically touching.
So it would be like
it's all about physically touching.
Quite an intimate experience.
Yeah, it is.
And you would have those guys who, if they lose a round, they get pissed off and they hit the side of the cabinet and shout and stuff, trying like turn you off on the idea of winning the next rounds. And there was all these kind of mental games. They'd have friends standing
the money
behind
situation
you
as well, because you would have to, if you paid and then lost, then you know.
Yeah.
But if you paid to get into it and you won, then as long as you carried on winning, you carried on playing.
Pay anything.
And it's that kind of aspect of it is obviously it's gone now, and I don't think we'll ever get that back.
Forever.
It is lost forever. But yeah, same as you. My kind of early experiences of playing Street Fighter were going into an arcade called the Silver Rooms, where I used to live, or the town where I went to school, and using my bus money, which I shouldn't have done, to play, and then having to like phone my dad, reverse charge it to come and get him to come and pick me up. But it was at the time I would have only been like 11 or 12 years old, so I wasn't actually allowed in that building anyway, because it was like over 16s only at the time. And everybody was in there smoking. It was like a really dark place, and I remember just going in there, and I so desperately wanted to play Street Fighter. It's the only thing that I wanted to do. And kind of being able to play, and inevitably losing because I was way younger than all the bigger kids that were playing.
Yeah, but, same thing for me as well. The arcade I used to go to was like quite a rough place. There would be fights outside and stuff, and a responsible parent would probably not let their child go to that place. But I would go. I would cut school to go. I would walk around the mall and collect bottles and recycle them to get the coins so I could go
So you can
play.
go in there, yeah.
I spent like 3 hours recycling bottles before I could go and
Go
play
in
some
there.
Street Fighter.
Yeah, see, those days are well and truly over.
So
Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. I don't know.
What do the kids
I
feel
think
like?
it's kind of good. I never really went to arcades that much.
I guess you're a generation behind, perhaps.
I guess so.
Because I think arcades were on their way out when I was in my
Arcades
in my
existed,
teens, so-
but I just didn't really go to them. I was more sort of stay in with the Mega Drive.
Because you had two different kinds of arcades as well back then. So you had like your kind of
I didn't really play many
Like-
fighters until sort of PS1, PS2 era anyway.
okay. So yeah. So by then it was sort of yeah.
That's a different thing in the fighting game community as well. Like, because of the shift from arcades to at home, different people play the game.
Mm.
Like Oscar, for example, I can't really imagine Oscar in an arcade. Like,
I can't
no
really.
offense.
I've been to
But,
arcades.
like, yeah, but I can't imagine you
play
like
some like Time
in my
Crisis or
arcade, for
something.
example, and you would have these people
I wouldn't
who
really play a fighting game.
who
in an
would
arcade.
like they'd just walk past the arcade and kind of like look disdainfully at it, and then they would go
It's
to
like
their
when you bring your gun
StarCraft
in there, yeah.
Brood War LAN party or something.
Yeah.
But those guys, they're actually playing fighting games now.
Mm.
They would never have gone into an arcade and played fighting games before.
Yeah, I play them a lot, like going around like friends' houses and parties and stuff. You know, you maybe do some rotation sort of stuff at parties, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I guess it being free and everything, there's like a lot of, and them being physically there, you'd want to like replay and rematch a lot.
Yeah.
So that's mainly how I played it.
Yeah.
Switching characters.